then on the 4th, we have Paige Rollo. On the 5th, Joe Bravo. On the 11th, we have Brian Leo. And on the 12th, Rain Victoria. I think we're done putting ourselves over. So it's time to get into the news. And it's a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. And I think the biggest bit of news that came out this week is that SummerSlam in 2026 will take place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and will be a 2-night event, much like WrestleMania is. I'm sure you heard of this news. What are your initial thoughts on this?
That is the ultimate my bad move. Does it sound like it, right? Is it me, or does that just seem like, you know what, my bad. We'll give you 2 nights just next summer. The summer after next. Because they don't pull that move unless, you knew they had it in the bag and Vegas just came out of nowhere. But I think most, and that's, it's kind of like a testament to the people in a sense, because people were really, really set on Minnesota, but a lot of people weren't really set on Minnesota. And
the main one
Vegas came in and swooped in because it's Vegas. I mean, TKO Vegas. It was too many dots to connect it for it not to be Vegas. Right? Like, can we agree on that part?
Yes, we could 100% agree on that. And it is. I feel like they had a chance of getting WrestleMania, and now there's no chance of them getting WrestleMania. And SummerSlam, a 2-night SummerSlam is just a constellation, like you said, for my bad. We're sorry that we didn't do this for you, but here's this instead.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's when you got people trying to come out, because April is usually, and especially in that week of April, it's spring break. And mofos are not trying to leave spring break to go to Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm just, nothing against Minnesota, but I think this just goes into a future play, because personally, I think Midwest cities are better for SummerSlams because it's hot, it's a summer, it's more likely to have more people go out there, right? It's easier to ask them to come to a city in the Midwest in the summer than it is in the winter, or even in the spring, because even Minneapolis, weather is any given time.
Right, things are still dying out.
Right, and the only way you could get them to come to a cold weather city is if it's a really big city, New York City, Philadelphia, Boston. You know what I'm saying? Those big metropolitan cities that are larger than life itself.
Exactly.
I think that
when you think
when
America, you think New York City, you think New York City, you think Philadelphia, you think Los Angeles. You don't necessarily think Indianapolis.
Or Cleveland, and to be quite honest, that's not a knock on them, right? Like that, I think I don't want people to think that that's a knock.
I think Cleveland is more synonymous than Indianapolis is because they had LeBron James for all that time.
But Cleveland is more synonymous with LeBron, but even then, that's only like basketball season. I mean, football season is starting to pick up because they made the playoffs and so on and so forth. But I think the formula is going to be, and this should be their formula, if they're going to do SummerSlams, do it in the Midwestern cities where they have those stadiums. So it's easier to push, a Cleveland, a Minneapolis, a Detroit. I mean, Detroit's indoors, but still a Detroit in the summer, Cleveland in the summer, even Chicago in the summer. Now, Chicago's going to be interesting once they build the stadium where it's because their stadium that they're building is going to be a dome stadium.
In
So
Chicago.
that might change it. They might change it a little bit, but Chicago's also one of those lexicons of cities in America where
Yeah,
people are willing to go to, right?
yeah. They're not going to
So,
have issues selling tickets in Chicago, WWE.
right. I mean, so I think that the SummerSlam formula of football stadiums in those middle cities, like I could see them doing SummerSlam in Kansas City next year. I could see them doing SummerSlam. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Saint. I don't think they have a football stadium anymore. But the Nashvilles, the Clevelands, the Indianapolises, the Minneapolises, those areas where it's summertime and people are more apt to be. Oh, I'll go there for a couple days in the summer.
now, obviously, SummerSlam and Stadium started with Allegiant in 21 when, the pandemic was still raging. They kind of kept to that trend because, they were selling tickets. So, why not make that money? I felt like it was a natural, it was going to happen sooner rather than later that they were going to do a 2-night SummerSlam eventually. Um, do you think that this was just, like we said, we're sorry, Minnesota, here's 2 nights of SummerSlam rather than one, and then go back to the traditional 1 night the next year? Or do you think that it's just going to stay as is after this?
Now, this is where it gets interesting because I remember they were doing surveys, and I think I did one, where they were like, well, did you prefer like one long night or 2 nights? And this was like years ago. And I would think more people are more apt to making a weekend out of it, right? Than trying to go there and spend one whole day there. And that actually is a win-win, not only for WWE, but for the city as well. Because you get more people there, and they're more apt to be there a lot earlier, which means they'll be there a lot longer. So it's a better economic impact than just one day, right? Like SummerSlam in Cleveland, they're probably going to feel that for, I say, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe Sunday. Vice getting 2 nights, like in Indianapolis, that's going to be a Thursday to Monday.
Right.
That could possibly be a Thursday to Monday deal in which Raws could include it.
Right.
So it's a better deal for Minneapolis in the long run. So I mean, WWE was like, my bad, we had y'all pinned in, but Vegas, man, it's Vegas. And that's basically what it was.
The Rock didn't want to go there.
The Rock, you ain't lying, Rock. Rock's like, man, I'm used to Vegas, baby. Not no goddamn Minnesota. Nothing wrong, Minnesota. But, hey, you're going to spend a week somewhere. People rather be spending a week on a bender in Vegas against Easter.
On Easter. Yeah, on Easter.
Than to go to Minnesota. So, hey, yeah, part of the game.
Do you think that having a 2-night SummerSlam is maybe too much wrestling? Obviously WrestleMania is the mecca of all pro wrestling. It deserves 2 nights, considering how ridiculously long it was getting. But SummerSlam, it was in that good sweet spot of 3 hours, 3.5 hours in these last couple of years. Do you feel like it could maybe be a little too much? And do you think that it maybe takes away from the speciality of WrestleMania being a 2-night event?
Now that's interesting. Well, Royal Rumble's 1 night. Some things are going to be 1 night by default. Royal Rumble's 1 night. Survivor Series 1 night. SummerSlam is not that bad because it's summer, so most people are going to be okay with, you know what I mean? It's not like they're going to go, oh my God. I could see it if it was like even WrestleMania, the reason it was done that way, because, most people bring their kids to WrestleMania and they're not trying to, I'd rather spend the weekend there and not having to deal with, and having them deal with one day of school and then that one long ass night on a Sunday and they're like feeling it for days. So I personally think SummerSlam, a 2-night, it wouldn't be too bad if it's broken up in like, let's say two-night increments. 2-night increments with 2 hours of pop. Would that really feel like, you're getting the short end of a stick?
I would say, and it's not going to be 2 hours each. It's going to be upwards of 3 hours, I would say.
That's what I was saying. Like, 2-3 hour nights, which, it's not that bad. And plus, it gets, think about it, 2026, they're already having to deal with the fact that they're on 2 different wavelengths as far as the brands are concerned.
Right.
Because SmackDown still is on USA, Raw is on Netflix, so they're 2 totally different. They could possibly be 2 different shows by then.
That's definitely a possibility. But you said not a 2-night Royal Rumble. I could maybe see them doing a 2-night Royal Rumble at this point. Have a Raw Royal Rumble and a SmackDown Royal Rumble, and 1 Women's Royal Rumble because they don't have enough women to fill 2 Royal Rumbles.
That's cold. Nah, I think they would stick with I think they would stick with the 1-night format because it would, let's say a Raw person wins it and wants to go after the SmackDown title, it gives that,
like Cody.
That breakup, right?
Yeah.
So, and then the Elimination Chamber for the title that is not, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because that allows Elimination Chamber to actually mean something, with the exception, unless it's the person defending the title there, then that's a whole different story.
Right. Alright. Definitely a lot to see what happens when it comes to that. Obviously, it's in 2026, so we have some time before we talk all things SummerSlam that time around. As we speak, WWE King and Queen of the Ring is going on. And it was announced, one thing that we wasn't able to talk about because it wasn't announced was that the winner of the King and Queen of the Ring will receive title matches at SummerSlam this year. Which definitely changes the dynamic of things somewhat, no, Kaliko?
That was usually the case in the 90s. So it's more of a return to what it was.
You're not wrong, but nobody who was the last person to get a title match after winning the Royal Rumble, the King of the Ring, was Brock Lesnar in 2002.
Right. But then again, it was defunct until, King Booker.
He got a title match. He wasn't granted a title match because of the...
Well, true, but I'm just saying, hey, he was a King of the Ring that used it to get the title.
This is true.
But I get your sentiment into which it inserts a person to get a title shot of his or her choosing. Sometimes, once again, it's throwing the wild card into it, which it should. So that means because the thing is this, everybody wants all these stars to get title shots and be in the title picture, we have to bring reasons why they are in the title picture besides the fact of beating the champion, right?
Right.
So you have what? Money in the Bank, Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble, and King of the Ring. That's 4 different avenues to which a person who is on the rise could actually show that they belong, right?
Right.
And and it's something to where, like, if they win, it's great. If they lose, okay, at least they showed what they got. And that's what we kind of need, is an influx of challengers to titles. So that way it seems more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Consistent?
It gives it that consistent and sporty feel, right? Like, what's the point of winning King of the... Somewhere Xavier Woods is pissed, but and Zelina Vega. But the thing is that at least, you know, I think it's going to be more heels getting those, because King and Queen and Ring to me seems more like a heel thing.
Right.
Someone who you can't stand getting that title shot. Like this year, my money was on Gunther from the beginning because it screams Gunther Cody at SummerSlam.
Yeah, continue.
But yeah, just something where it kind of hot shot someone like Gunther, who's got nothing really to prove, into the stratosphere, into the reason to get the title, rather than just saying, "Oh, he's there because he belongs there." It gives him the story credence to say that he's there.
Well, you know, you mentioned, you know, Gunther versus Cody. The one specific thing I noticed when Triple H announced that, you know, whoever wins gets a title match, it was on their respective brand, not, you know, you can jump and skip to the next brand. So if Gunther wins, you're looking at Gunther versus either Damian Priest or Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam, where as we saw on SmackDown, Randy Orton beat Tama Tonga. Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. That does kind of seem like a bigger draw, no?
That could be, but I don't think they're doing. It's just different brackets from the brand, and whoever wins, the King of the Ring wins it all overall, right? So eventually, it's either going to be Gunther versus Randy Orton, and then whoever wins that gets a title shot.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the question. What's going to sell more? But the thing is this: Randy is a face. See, and this is the problem, because it's unless they're just getting rid of the face, heel, and just going against or the face heel formula and just going with what stories draw people in the most, in which Randy versus Cody would be a better story arc, because it's mentor versus, you know, mentee.
Right.
And
you know, you say Randy Orton's a face, but was Randy Orton ever really a face? You know, in that sense.
I mean, he wasn't in a face that he was kissing babies or going high fives, but against Logan Paul, who isn't a face?
Exactly.
So that's my point. So if you... Okay. If they really wanted Orton to be a face, they would have had him cost Kevin Owens the U.S. title shot. The U.S. title. Like, without a triple threat.
Right.
I mean, that would be, because it would be something diabolical about that, or something that's like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean?
I get you.
So with that being said, The Randy Cody thing wouldn't really need a face heel because it's just about how much have you improved since you left, motherfucker?
Exactly.
Type deal. Like, and maybe Orton could. But the thing is this: we know Orton is closer to that record. So this is where it gets dicey. And Cody's the hot one. So it's just, and if they cared about, the face versus heel thing, Jey Uso would have beat Gunther.
Right.
And we see that hasn't worked. So it's going to be one of those things where that Punk is going to eventually get with McIntyre for a while. Gunther versus Priest could be something. I could see Gunther, Priest, and Giovanni costing Gunther the title.
Ooh, that might be something.
Because they haven't recalled that back yet. So, I mean, it's a lot of good avenues they could go with story-wise, which is what I think it's refreshing to see, like, there's this multiverse where we can go with, right? Like, it's almost kind of like WWE 2K My Universe. Like, you take the choice and it just takes you down that path. You know what I mean? But it's good. It's good. It's a lot of options, and it's not really a bad option, right? It's not really like a worse of two evils.
I mean, you're not wrong. But I kind of feel like does Gunther kind of deserve it? Yeah. But in the long-term storytelling, obviously Cody and Randy would be the better, main event for SummerSlam this year.
Yes, yet Priest needs an opponent. So I could see, I mean, technically I could see if Gunther wins, let's just say if Gunther wins, and he's unsuccessful because of whatever the case may be, I could see a 5-way Gunther, Priest, Punk, Drew, or 4-way rather, or even put Jay in there. So I could easily see a 5-way that way, but I don't think they're gonna go that route because and essentially, other than Jay, and Gunther, the 3-basket weave is Drew, Priest, Punk. So it's just a matter of, okay, if Gunther is unsuccessful in this, what is he going for afterwards? Not saying that he's not going to get back in the title picture, but there would be a reason he didn't win, and he has to deal with that before he gets to the title, right?
Right.
So, but and that I think would be your boy coming back, costing him the title.
Right. Giovanni, you mean?
Giovanni.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of different routes they could take in order to get this done. I don't see a Gunther Priest McIntyre rivalry all that interesting, considering that all three of them are heels. And, Priest being, a heel champion, yeah, you need some dragons to slay. But you need faces also. And I mean, you already slayed Jey Uso in France. Seth Rollins is still
on the shelf.
On the shelf, and Punk is a couple of months away from coming back.
Right. So the question is, there's not really. I mean, there's not a face that is bigger than Jay that is that to where you can put him against Priest and you have the think that he actually has a 50% chance of winning.
Right.
So the only logic is either, I mean, but McIntyre's not really a face or a heel. He's just a guy who's like, I can understand his. I don't think he's a face or a heel. I just see him as a dude that's like that Seth Rollins tweener, except he's a lot more serious.
Right.
So he's the person that would make the most sense in getting with Priest, considering the fact that he lost the title, never really got the rematch.
Oh, but he's getting it in June against
in June
in Scotland. There's no way
in Scotland, right? But so I think that would, and that's the question: are they going to pull it off of him in Glasgow? You can't send him back to Scotland twice and lose twice.
Well, the last one was in Wales, not technically Scotland, but
you know what the hell I mean? He's basically on home turf, sir. You sent him on home turf the last time. Had him with Tyson Fury, who got his ass whooped this weekend. So there's no Tyson Fury help this time. So you gotta, I mean, that's the question. Is it gonna be really worth it for Drew to win? Because Drew Punk at SummerSlam as one of the main eventers is a bigger draw than Priest versus anybody else.
My point exactly.
But I don't think that they're gonna pull it off of Priest that soon. I think, to me, the common sense match to do then is a triple threat, Punk, or either triple threat or fatal four way. So it's either going to be Punk, Priest, and McIntyre triple threat, or Jay, Punk, Drew, Priest. Because those are the four only really like major players that's been in the title picture.
Right. Well,
because even though Punk hasn't had a title shot, you know it's coming.
Oh yeah. We'll kind of continue this conversation next week when we review WWE King and Queen of the Ring. Maybe we'll get a clearer picture then.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. I can't wait.
That for sure. Interesting bit of news. MVP Montel Vontavious Porter posted he's getting back into ring shape. He said that he's not officially retired and would like to have a couple more matches before he does. What are your thoughts on MVP having maybe one last run in him?
All I know is I'm gonna miss that cane that he's gonna be. They used to walk down the ring with. That's for sure. Miss the Pippin ass cane.
The cane. He'll hobble down, and then when he gets in the ring,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, that means you gotta get rid of the cane. But I mean, if he can do it, I mean, Ric Flair did it. He's looking at Ric Flair like, motherfucker, if he can do it, I can do it. So blame Ric Flair. And I love Terry Funk, but them folks just didn't know when to leave. Like Sean is telling everybody, I'm leaving, nigga, leave. Exit stage left. And everybody else has been like, yeah, I'm retired. Nah, I'm just bullshit. Like, so, I mean, if he could do it, hey, I look forward to it. It would be nice to see who he would wrestle. You know, I mean, Omos?
Oh, God, no. You know, he had a great thing going with Bobby Lashley in the Hurt Business, arguably one of the better runs, and especially during the pandemic that only lasted, a couple of months. Um,
Oh, that hurt every African American on this planet. Because that should have been a way longer run, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day.
yeah, but if you're going to, go out, I mean, Bobby Lashley would make sense, right?
Uh, true. But it would have to be. It had to be one hell of a circle back for that to happen. Because now Bobby Lashley is running the Pride, and I mean, I wish it was just Hurt Business. Because at least they could have argued over who ran the Hurt Business.
Right.
Like I made this shit. Give me my name back or whatever. At least they could have something to fight for, right? Or a reason to fight for something.
I mean, the story's kind of there. Like, I carried you, the only reason you were champion was because of me, yada yada.
That could be the case.
I mean, the real match that we want to see MVP in that we're not going to get is Chris Jericho. But that's another story for another time, I suppose.
That ain't happening. Or Matt Hardy, because he's had those best of 7.
Oh, God.
Gee. They used to have bangers, though. Hey, say what you will. They were killing them in them serious matches.
No, I'm referring to that time MVP knocked Chris Jericho out on the cruise ship.
Oh, that ain't that would have to be a cage fight, sir. That is not a ring. That is in a cage. And that's one of those things we call in the hood a SOS, a serve on site. That is on-site fight. That is not. He don't need to be in ring shape for that type of fight to go down.
And I highly doubt Chris Jericho would be open to said fight either. Keeping his face or keeping what relevancy he has.
You gotta keep the beach cruise popping. That's what it is. You got to keep his cruise popping.
Another potential return. Billie Kay did an interview of the Iconics. They've been retired for quite some time now. She revealed that she turned down an appearance at the Royal Rumble, but is looking to kind of get back into things and would love to be in this year's Royal Rumble. Out of the two Iconics, I always thought Billie was the better, especially when it came to character work. And the idea, the thought of a Billie Kay Chelsea Green tag team would be off the charts awesome in my mind. Kaliko?
Nah, you gotta bring them both back, bro. And then they could go with Chelsea and Piper and make like a little faction. I think that's what they were missing. They don't have the bougie faction for girls, right? Like they got the bougie chick, which is Tiffy guys, but which it's a catch. I can't even. It's Tiffy guys, but yeah. They just need like a little bougie clique. The bougie clique. And she would fit with Chelsea in the bougie clique. The bougie bratty clique. BBC. I just WWE trademark it. Trademark it. The bratty bougie clique. That
The bratty
I want my money.
Eat your heart.
Or BAB, bad and bougie. Give me my money. Run my money.
eat your heart out, Blackpool Combat Club.
I mean, it beats that by spades, sir.
It definitely would be more entertaining and more storyline fluid, I would say.
Yeah, true.
The only thing I say, oh, you can't, don't bring. I would love to see Peyton as well, but I think she's retired. I think she's on her second child with Ty Dillinger, so I think she wants to stay, back from the ring for the time being. But
But
Billy,
Kay just had a kid.
huh?
She had a kid.
Billy had a kid?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was Peyton that had the kid.
Both.
Oh, both of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It threw me off too. Bro, bro, it shocked the shit out of me too. I was like, what?
They have more symmetry than the Bella twins at this point.
Like, yeah, she's a mom now, if I remember correctly.
Well, I mean, good for her, and if she wants to get back in the ring, that'd be great. If it's with Peyton, that'd be even better. But if it's not, again, I think the WWE could use somebody like Billie Kay.
Yeah, had a son, Cooper. Sorry, put the name out there and everything, my bad. But had a son, yeah, last year. That's what I was like. That made sense why she didn't do the Royal Rumble. Because she was more mom mode. Yeah, that made sense.
So like I said, if it's not with Peyton, like I said, you want somebody like Billie Kay on your team. She's a chicken salad maker. So, yeah.
Yeah, she is. I mean, character-wise, yes. She can put people over.
They drew her with a resume gimmick, and she made that thing work like nobody else could.
Yes, she did. She was out there popping for a job harder than I could ever do.
Now on to not so great news. Eddie Kingston, really bad.
Broke his leg. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Let's just go.
Meniscus, ACL, the whole shebang, basically. They said that for whatever reason he can't get surgery right away, and he's going to be out as long as May of next year. That really sucks for him, no?
It sucks because he was just getting his ball was already rolling, right? Like, right. So it sucks.
He was one of the genuine wrestlers, characters that AEW had that people really connected to and identified with and, actually bought a ticket to see.
Because he really didn't give a shit. That's
and it's so...
He could, and it showed. Yeah, it did. I mean, I'm not saying that he did give a shit about the fans. He just wrestled as if it was the last match of his life.
Right.
And it showed. It showed. I mean, him and Moxley could take notes on how, getting fucked up. But yeah. But hopefully he gets well soon. I mean, hopefully he gets that surgery quicker. I would have thought as much as he was rolling, he would have had more dough to get it soon, especially to Birmingham. He better go to B-Ham real quick.
If you're in WWE, you get done immediately. But, AEW, not exactly, scheduling surgeries.
Hey, so you telling me WWE got, this Canada healthcare shit going now? Is that what you trying to tell me?
Well, did you not hear the CM Punk interview with Ariel Helwani?
I mean, it coming from CM Punk is one thing, given the history,
I
right?
mean, your biggest star in your company gets injured, and you don't schedule his surgery, and you don't have anything to do with the rehab or how's his progress.
I mean, it's Punk, and we know that history.
He was the biggest star of their company. Do you think that they're going to put extra effort into trying to help Eddie Kingston?
I mean, yeah.
Bullshit.
I mean, I mean, Kenny Omega got it. Why not him?
I highly doubt Kenny Omega got help from AEW when it came to scheduling his surgery that he's going for.
I bet you he put that as a business expense.
He might have.
Thank you. So don't. He's the EVP. Don't play. Don't play.
Not a
He
very
put
good
it.
EVP as he stated, but an EVP nonetheless.
Hey man, it ain't about how much you know. It's about how much your paycheck hit.
That we could agree. Um, that being said, AEW is kind of short on talent if we're being completely honest here. Um, you know, Especially when it comes to developing new talent and, their own people. I mean, Darby just came back, but even he admitted that he's not feeling too great right now. Um, Sammy Guevara has been suspended for like what, like 3, 4 months at this point.
It feels like indefinite. They put the indefinite and indefinitely. That's for sure.
MJF is nowhere to be heard, but then again, he just had shoulder surgery, if I'm not mistaken.
Did
Um,
he?
that's what I heard. If you believe rumored innuendos.
Okay.
Ricky Stark, completely healthy, completely fine. They're not using
Just
him.
not used.
Action Andretti had that one match with Chris Jericho, and we haven't heard from him since. Um, it's just been WWE talent as of late. The Edges, the Christians, the Monets.
The Monets, the
Um,
Moxleys, the
so
Danielsons,
and
all the
like
the
Brian said that he's not going to be there forever. This is like his last full year of wrestling. So he's going to be out sooner rather than later. Guys are getting injured left and right. There's no homegrown talent for them to really write home about, and nobody to say, this is who we're hitching our wagon to, and they're going to be a megastar in 6 to 9 months.
No, you're wrong. You remember Hook? He was a flavor of the month. Um, I'm, I'm, I say that with tongue in cheek. Nothing against Hook, but that's just shows that this was the problem. This was the problem when they brought those guys in. I mean, when they first brought them in to mentor them, it was great, but that's what it should have just been. I think the only person that understood that assignment was Sting, but and he fucked around and got an undefeated run out the bitch.
Well, I mean, Billy Gunn did pretty well with the Acclaimed, even though we haven't seen the Acclaimed for quite some time.
I'll give you that. I mean, yes, they say lost the goddamn titles.
Right. Why aren't they using Ricky Starks? He's healthy. He's ready to go. He had a decent run with Big Bill, and now Big Bill is under the learning tree, so he can't go back to that. Why don't they want to promote Ricky Starks?
It could be a contract thing.
He said no.
Well, that I can't tell you then, but it's weird because remember when AEW Hardcore Stance was yelling, "We got the 4 pillars."
Yeah.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Them 4 pillars look like 4 step stools now. Some of it through no fault of their own. I mean, some of it, like Darby, just I don't know, Darby being Darby, and then
Yeah.
Sammy being Sammy, and MJF. Yeah, God knows he's gotten used to the power, but they MJF they wore his ass to the ground,
I was gonna
and
say
then
they burnt that candle from both ends.
they burned the hell out that shit, and then Jungle Boy, goddamn, so they like shit. So I mean, it just kind of this is where that blend. I will put it this way: who has a better future in the wrestling business if you looked at it from this standpoint, Dominic Mysterio or any of those pillars?
Right.
And that's all that you need to know. Because as much as Dominic just got hurt, but he was putting in work. And you saw him merge with other talents to learn and gain. Darby did it with Sting, but his was just his foot got broke, unfortunately. MJF was kind of doing it, maybe he had a Regal, and then he did Cody, and then he had a Jericho, so he was all over the place, and it didn't kind of pan out. And we all saw what happened with Jungle Boy, and then and Sammy was the same with Jericho, and it kind of panned out. I don't know if it's an attitude thing with him. I don't know, but it just goes to show like they're kind of depending on these old vets to pull them through until they find the next guy. And I mean, Wardlow, anyone?
When's the last time
I
we've
can
heard of
name.
Wardlow?
That's my point. So the point is not a lack of talent. I think the point is the emphasis is a lack of rotational use of that time. Because in the beginning, they used to do it pretty well. Because you remember they had the AEW After Dark, and they could actually, you know what I mean, show them up and
AEW
coming, and you could.
AEW
You say,
Dark, not After Dark. It wasn't. There was nothing risque or not safe for work on it.
I mean, sorry, BET Uncut got into me right there. But anyways, but they had a platform to, get them to earn their stripes to when they got to the show, right? So they could build that rapport, kind of like an NXT. And I think that could be an issue because it's like the younger guys are kind of doing more on the job training than a I don't know, like a Carmelo Hayes, or they're doing more on the job training than a.
But they're not doing on-the-job training. Ricky Starks did an interview. I can't necessarily remember who with, but how, in your guesstimation, how many matches do you think Ricky Starks had in 2024? We're,
10.
we're 5 months into the year.
Oh, you mean he had matches have he had this year?
Yes, in 2024, in the five
And
months. How many, sorry?
is this just AEW? Is this AEW
No,
specific or
in
indies?
total. Every match from every independent, every AEW show, every independent show, everything.
I'd say if he 20 matches.
6 matches.
Damn.
He had 5 matches on AEW, and he had um, one match at an independent promotion that was ran by Cody Rhodes' sister, to kind of get things going for her. Um, that's that's 1 match a month. Independent wrestlers do more matches than 1 match a month. And I'm not saying that Ricky hasn't taken his bumps, and he's well beyond being under the learning tree at this point. But a lot of those independent guys that they have, especially Wardlow, who wasn't really on the independents that much when before coming to AEW, didn't have a lot of experience. Having six matches in 6 months, you're not going to learn how to be the wrestler you need to be by only having 1 match a month.
True.
So, how, and it's not for the lack of AEW shows that they have. You have Dynamite, Rampage, Collision, and Ring of Honor. And God knows that Athena has been running the gauntlet on Ring of Honor. Nobody's seeing it, but she's doing it. So, and if you have 4 shows and you can't fit your talent on one of them, you have a major problem, no?
True, but that's I see that in Tony Khan's sense because of the fact that you signed all these cats. You signed all these people, right?
Yeah.
You want your money's worth. You gonna want your goddamn money's worth. And that's the problem, right? Like if you're gonna have all these people, all these wrestlers, like Mercedes Moné, you signed her in what? January? February?
No, the Okada came in around that time. Was a lot newer.
That's what I'm saying. Like all these people that he's signing, I'm pretty sure they're not signing little ass checks. So he's gonna want to get their money's worth.
But we could both agree Mercedes isn't going to stay in AEW forever. So, you have to promote Julia Hart. You have to promote Anna Jay. You have to promote Sky Blue. You have to promote the next round of people. So when those people come back, when those people leave, you're not out in the cold with a light sweater. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This is what happened in the end of WCW. Hulk Hogan left, Kevin Nash left, Razor Ramon left, and yeah, they had Booker T, and Booker T literally carried that son of a bitch on his back. But nobody really took the run seriously because he didn't have anybody of a big name to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not no slack to Booker T. But the only reason he got that opportunity was because there was nobody else available. Am I telling lies, Kaliko?
No, but I mean, but the thing is, it's just like he's gonna have to run it. he's going to have people who can actually run a wrestling show or run it to where every talent is kind of important, right? But when you bring in some people in which a Jay White, when you're bringing in the Jay Whites, the Edges, the Monets, the returning Jack Perry, the fucking Okadas, he's wanting to utilize them so quick. So it's like a flavor of the month thing. That's why I say is AEW. Who is AEW's flavor of the month? Because remember, it used to, at one point it was Private Party. At one point it was Darby Allin. At one point it was Sammy. At one point it was Hook. At one point, you know what I'm saying? So it's not. At one point it was Miro. At one point it was Athena. At one point it was. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I could name 20 people in that 5-year span in which it was a flavor of the month rather than I think the only person that actually got booked long term was Hangman Page. Because even Swerve, as much as I love Swerve, it took the crowd to get him to that, right?
Right.
It wouldn't have been nothing else if it wasn't for the crowd.
Right.
So the question is, who is dictating their rotation as far as TV time? Is it Tony or is it the crowd? Now the crowd has a play in it, but considering that he wants it to feel more like a sport, you would think you would want to maximize as much as your talent as possible to show that like any given person could get beaten on any given day, thus the sporty feel.
You know, I don't think, Tony is clearly, spreading himself thin if he is producing 4 shows. It wouldn't be bad if he let somebody put their fingerprints on one of those other shows. Not even to say, somebody that is competent at their job, but just somebody that can maybe take these guys and give them TV time once a week. And there's 6 hours of AEW TV, and you can't fit Ricky Starks on, or give him 5 minutes on one of them? That makes no sense to me.
But I think, again, that's it's also a locker room thing too, because remember, the locker room has been notorious for not listening to nobody.
Right.
So if any person they're going to listen to, they're going to listen to the person who's signing their check.
Rachel? Well, I mean, we could be here all day talking about this, if I'm being honest.
We really could.
So we should probably get off it for the time being, and conclude our coverage of the news for the time being. And now a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.